tweaks version. When you are working on, you have access to my command line alone. If you are in a command line environment, because there's some servers like Linux servers or Linux. Most servers in the world, they all make use of Linux. Most, if not, let's say 80% or 70% of servers, because Linux doesn't really utilize too much um, memory, or it doesn't lag like Windows does. Windows with too many services and components. So, and Linux has pre-configured or pre-installed tools by default. You just need to just go to the command line and then apt install them, right? So unlike most Windows that you have to download or and start installing, install. So, but my point is, when you're on a command line environment, you want to check the version of that device that is currently you are accessing because you're troubleshooting, right? So you just type version, var, tells you the version of that OS or that Windows level again. So you can still go further and even check if it's not in your country, maybe accessing it remotely. You can just do date or time. You can do date or time. It will review. So all of this, there are different steps to investigating or maybe dating threats. It goes beyond this. So I pray we will not have 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 seen cases whereby I don't know if anyone you've heard of ransomware. I've seen cases whereby ransomware infected someone's computer. The person was like he was almost crying. He was down. He was restless. So
That's
just
yes, that ransomware have even affected my where I was working before. It affected my CEO. But funny
so
enough, it's just that we had a backup.
backup. Exactly. The only solution to
Yes,
it is
that's
backup.
what saved us.
So the only solution to it is backup. So one good thing with it, if it affects it, right? So especially when it's a server. So if you can access the server via the command line, it's very easy for you to remediate threats. Whenever you're accessing via command line, that's one clue I got to and that. So you have to start learning or even googling some commands. If it is on this, you can easily go to control panel. But when you're on this environment, task queue and all of that, it stops. Most of those it take effect, yeah, instantly, most of the time, from my own little experience. So that's one. If I just let me let you know this time. So let's even look at I don't think I've shared this before. All right, so let me even look at my MAC address. Let me look at my MAC address. Okay, this shows us analyze the MAC address and tells us what we have. Bluetooth VMware. So when you are working on any command line and you want to get to know which one is connecting to which network, and so first you need to find out media disconnected. You can see that this one is active. So my VM is on. These are VM. So you need to know all of this. So I know that my wireless adapter is on. So if it is not connected, you see it's not connected. They show you disconnected. Media disconnected. Media disconnected. So only Wi-Fi. So Bluetooth. Once I start Bluetooth now, maybe Bluetooth, I'm playing headsets. I'm playing any music from the laptop here via Bluetooth. You see it's connected to all of that. So once you know the service or understand your environment, you know what you're targeting. Right. So that's one aspect. So but there are 5 commands, whether you are more than five, but let me just bring it down to five that you should be familiar with. So whether you are security architecture or security engineer, um, malware analyst, and the likes. So we all know this thing. This is number one. Wherever you are, I'm accessing a device. Is that device up or ping another server? You should know this one. I'm not supposed to talk about this, but we've done this. But because I'm heading somewhere, so you know there are steps, procedures in looking out for loopholes or remediating threats or investigating. At times, someone can just send you get a report from like most times I'll send the report to Sophos. Just download the report for my so I'm getting a like a false positive or errors. I'll just download the report and send to them. Then they start investigating and to know what. So all of this information needs to be provided. So when I investigate, I'll say, okay, do you have this, and this? So I have to know the steps to be taken when you encounter any issue or virus related issue at all or threat. So the other one, which you need to know, it is very, very important. If you know how this works, this I've said this before. This when you're trying to find either the best path to a remote server, a remote network, or you want to know devices that your server or I'm doing it from a computer now. But if I'm doing this from maybe a Linux server, or I'm doing it from a Cisco device or any network device, if I do trace out to anything, so I'll get details or ideas of what that device is connected to, from where this device is connected to this, then after this, it goes to this, and you see the time. So these are just ways of troubleshooting, and it is owned by Google. So I'll just use this as an example. So this is another command we should it's necessary we know. Then there's another one again, which I've done before. I'm just taking you back to NS lookup and that IP address or Facebook. So I'll share the rest. I think I even shared 12, 14 commands. In fact, just take note of those 14 via the group. I sent was it yesterday? Yes, 14 commands or tools you should know. So that's for that aspect. So that's NCT. You see tracer there. I think yes, there's tracer there. There's a ping, there's ARP address resolution protocol -A. So we have all of these commands there. Address resolution protocol used to reveal the MAC address of a known IP address and the likes. So it's very important. So just take note of this aspect. So if you want to know if this device, the router you're accessing, it's or the routing table of that device. So once you do route prints, it shows you. So for this is where I'm coming to now. This is my routing table, my route table. So we might not get to understand this except you worked on routers. So this is metric and destination. So the result here is not accurate because we are not connected to any router or any service. So, but just take note of this one as well. So, I just remembered something. Now, Mr. Newton, can you remember? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I just remember there is one particular command when a thread has gone down to registry and you are
Yes.
deleting, and the virus is not. So the best to use is scan now. I just remember this. But just take note of this. Scan now. Or just take this takes time. But it's one of the best. So just try this. If
Okay.
antivirus has failed, just do sfc space slash scanner. It has its own extension. So if you do scan now space tab, it will tell you other additional commands that you can add to it. But this is just the first level. So when you do this, to give you, this will take time. It will take quite, it will take a lot of time. So you can go to PowerShell and do the same thing. In fact, PowerShell is most times we do it from PowerShell, but you have to be careful on PowerShell too. So you can run it on PowerShell. So this is the advanced aspect of command line CMD. So if you want to run attack, most times if your heart is to or your mindset is for attack, look for look for um, services or connections that are open. You want to take advantage of all those things. You see most people they spend their time on PowerShell. Most of these guys, so they prefer to use PowerShell. So it is an inbuilt component on Windows Windows operating system. So Linux is on is there by default too, but it is not a PowerShell. So let me stop this. So that's one CLS clear screens. So do CLS clear screen.